Lights, camera, action. Man, this is exciting. Very honored. We've been praying for these two to come on the podcast, and for whatever reason, their price kept going up. And we were telling them, listen, $2,000 to be on our podcast is a good deal. All right. Imagine if we actually paid them, Bryce. Bryce, come sit down. How much do you think these individuals are worth to come on our podcast?
Is
$2,000 enough for these guys? They were asking for so much money.
Well, I mean, they were asking us, but then eventually they had to pay us to keep us from calling ICE on them. So,
all right, now this one's real. This gentleman, his wife let him come to the podcast.
She let him go.
Yeah, she let him go, and they were kicking and screaming, and then the daughter came along with them, and this is a duo. We haven't had a duo like this before, Bryce.
I know, very special. It's our first.
Adorable, lots of tears.
Yeah. Reminded me of what I don't have. I'm kidding.
What don't you have, Bryce? Let's talk about it. Welcome to counseling. Bryce, are you okay?
No.
All right. Well, hey, we're so glad that you guys click play to watch this video. We have the Alyssa Estrada on the podcast. I guess you were supposed to pronounce his last name Estrada, not Estrada, like his daughter pronounces her own last name wrong. I get called Craven. It's Craver. And like my father-in-law at our wedding, he goes, Von Craven. So he didn't even know his own daughter's last name, Craven. Can you believe that? Bryce, what do you have to say about the podcast, about the other individual? I announced Aaron. How about the
Well,
the
we're
other
also
individual?
welcoming, for the first time, it is a parent-child duo.
I said that. I said parent already, Bryce.
Shut up. We are welcoming Alyssa Estrada onto the podcast.
Alyssa. I've never thought about that. Alyssa.
Yeah.
It carries on.
So we're going to have a bunch of great conversations about...
it gets toxic at sometimes.
It does. It does. High school girls are toxic. But we're going to talk
Aren't you
about...
dating a high school girl?
Yeah. But she goes to the weird school.
We'll talk about that.
So we're going to talk about high school life and what it's like living...
Having zits on your face.
I mean, you still do, so like...
The lighting it's the lighting.
It's not just
Why would you say that in front of all my friends and family, dude?
It's not just a high school thing. Thanks for clicking on the video. Hope you enjoy.
I don't got zits, dude. They're beauty blend.
And we're back. Welcome to the Hills Youth Podcast.
Yeah.
Episode of Bajillion. This is my man, Aaron Estrada, former group leader, my former group leader.
Hello,
current
podcast world.
Group leader.
It's been quite a while since
We
you were
have
group leader.
leader crushing it, Alyssa Estrada, and
Hola.
Bryce. We don't talk about
Wow.
Bryce. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, doing great.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We've
well-
wanted you to be on for a long time, and so you've been on the short list forever, like we said earlier, and so just super blessed that you guys could make it.
Thank you for having us. And like I mentioned earlier, when you text me, I looked at the text, talked to Alyssa, and I don't think I'm that important or interesting enough to be on the podcast, but I'm honored to be here. And Alyssa, she's told me she was a little nervous, but there's nothing to be nervous about.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah, we're only going to ask one hard question. And that hard question is, what happened recently at the 100 meter? What happened there?
Oh
goodness.
my,
I
we
told
don't
you not to
talk
bring this
about
up.
that.
No, but seriously, what happened? Let's come on.
let's talk
Alyssa.
about it.
Let's talk about
Oh,
it.
we're gonna say it was my block start.
It was you know what?
You didn't do very well?
I don't know. I need to work on that for sure.
Yeah.
Who beat you?
Yeah, who did you have at least some like good competition at least?
No, everyone that I ran against was slow, so I didn't have anyone push me.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Were there any familiar faces on this race?
Well,
No.
she wasn't in the same race. It was on a different night,
Oh, okay.
but we saw
All
the
right.
times.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
I see. So who are we talking about right now?
My sister?
Wow.
Your little sister.
My younger
Oof.
sister.
That's okay. You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I mean,
You're right.
my little sister's more athletic than me, I guess. So makes
It's
sense.
okay.
She's almost taller than you.
Camden is, yeah. Well, Camden's freaky, so.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Camden. Talking about you didn't say your little sister.
Oh,
You
Ashland?
said-
No, Ashland's short. Ashland's short now.
So it took me like 2 years of knowing both you and Ashton to figure out that you guys are the same person.
What?
Kind of.
I found out 2 weeks ago that you and Camden are siblings.
Yeah, like, okay, so the Camden thing can make sense because me and Camden don't look anything alike. I think me and Ashton look more like, we don't look alike, but we look more alike than me and Camden.
I
agree.
think that's completely true. But I was mind blown the other day in the
Yeah.
tech booth. Speaking of leadership stuff, this is a terrible segue, but Aaron,
Yes.
let's talk about it. Let's walk us through,
Leadership,
bro. What do you do? Because
man.
everybody knows you're a boys leader, right? Middle
Yes,
school
I
boys.
lead the freshman boys on Sunday nights. I
You
you
used
know
to be
I'm-
middle school, and I used to be in that group. It was
right,
great.
right. Well, I moved up with the boys into high school, and sorry to brag about my own guys, but we're the best group in this youth ministry.
I mean, besides for the
Um,
juniors. but that's fine.
Hey, seniors are
Consistency.
pretty great.
Okay,
my
so
boy
number
G
3.
back there's in my group.
Oh
Good
yeah,
young
you're
man.
not helping yourself.
But their consistency and the way they they get involved. There's more and more getting involved, and seeing them grow has been awesome. But and to top it off, the best looking group for sure. I mean, we've got that for sure.
I can't argue with you. Vaughn is the lead of our group. So,
Yeah.
But
leave it in.
on top of that, I lead in other areas as well. I do a men's group here called Marksman, and when that's going on, I'm a SWAT member in that and lead a table. And then during the off season or while Marksman's not going, I lead a Tuesday night group here at the church with men. And my partner Jimmy Newland and I lead that. So it's been good. It's been really great. Also, I'm part of the Four Corners Fast Pitch League. I'm the 6U, 8U VP, so I'm over that. And then I also do Connie Mac World Series. I'm on the committee for that, doing operations. And actually, my boy G, shout out to G again. He works for me and he volunteers there too. And hopefully, I'm looking for my replacement. So maybe he takes my spot here in the near future. I've done that for 19 years, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just like, man, I want to make 20 years, but this year is the 60th anniversary, and maybe it's a good year to step away. I don't know. I might do it one more year to get 20
I
years
think
in.
you got to get the 20 in.
I
That's just
know.
me. Plus,
Yeah.
G's not ready. Look at him.
I don't know.
He's got to get his full mustache.
Yeah,
before he's
we're
ready.
waiting on the.
That's probably
full
a couple
Picasso.
weeks, bro. Look at that thing. Just shakes his head. That's awesome.
So what I'm hearing is you do quite a bit around the community.
Yes.
You work hard. A lot of not extracurriculars because you haven't been in school forever. But like,
Yeah, man, you do a ton of. So when's your recess period, Aaron?
I don't have a recess.
You sure?
mean,
what about
yeah.
what math class are you taking? Keep going,
Man,
Bryce.
I
So,
just
but like-
go 100 miles an hour.
what made you decide to do all this stuff?
I don't know. I do know. I'm just a natural leader, and I think I figured that out when growing up playing baseball, and I was a catcher. Played in the World Series back in '99, way back in the day, and what people don't know in baseball or softball, the captain of the team, the leader of the team, the quarterback of the team is the catcher, and because the catcher is the only defender that is facing the field, the rest of the defense. So of course you're calling pitches with the pitcher. Everybody thinks it's the pitcher that's the quarterback, but it's the catcher. And even playing organized sports, I've always been that. It's always been wired in me to motivate my teammates, get them going. I like winning. So, I just, whatever it took to lift them up and get them out of a slump, or, if they made an error, just get them over the hump so we can win as a team. So that's just been wired in me, I guess. And getting into my young adulthood, with the baseball knowledge, my father-in-law was on the Connie Mac committee at the time, and he brought me in, and I dove in, and I don't know, man. I really like serving people. I like um, um, just doing good things for the community, and that turned into getting into youth group, and that's a story in itself. If Alyssa wants to share how we got into youth group, you remember?
A little bit. I just remember being super nervous on my first day. And once I got home, I told my parents all about it. And I wanted my dad to be there.
No, you got the story wrong.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. So, what is it? 6th grade that you can
Yeah.
enter?
Yes,
Yeah.
6th grade.
Okay,
youth
so Alyssa was a 5th grader, and we were in the main service on Sunday, and they mentioned youth group was about to fire up, and so we talked with Alyssa when we left church. It was like, wow, look, just think, a year from now you could go to youth group, and she was so fired up. She was excited. Well, that time came around, and she's really shy. I mean, she's growing out of it now, but back then she was really shy. And she was nervous. She didn't want to come. So that was the deal I made with her. I said, hey, how do you feel about me getting involved with you? And she lit up. She was excited. She was like, yeah, that'll be great. So then I went through the interviewing process with Vaughn, and we actually came in together. So yeah, I guess you don't remember.
I know. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time
I'm
ago.
getting old.
Yeah.
Well, because surprisingly enough, the only reason I'm here is because of you two. You two were the first ones who invited me to youth when I was over 4.5 years ago
That's awesome.
on the back to school bash.
Nice.
And so yeah, that's been. You guys if you guys wouldn't have done that together, I wouldn't have been here either. So,
Right. That's awesome to hear.
but yeah, so our families have been intertwined for I don't know, as long as I can remember.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's been really cool. Not only getting to see myself come into the youth group, but also getting to watch you grow up in the youth group too, and like do all that stuff. So that's been really cool. Your dad's a boys group leader, but
Mhm.
you're also a life group leader. Why don't you talk about that?
I am. I lead my 8th grade girls.
Do you like them? They're
Yes, I do
Oh,
actually.
You don't have to lie.
I'm not lying.
You're in church.
Yes, they have a lot of drama sometimes,
Well, they're girls.
but that is true. But I
laugh
feel
at
like
that.
I really connect with them since we're closer in age. I used to lead 6th graders. Oh my. Literally
So-
the worst age
So
ever.
did you like them?
No.
Oh
my
my God!
God.
There we go. There's
No.
all right. Subtlety has walked out.
You like everybody, right?
No, we don't
No,
lie in
no.
church. We don't.
No.
We can
No.
phrase things a little softer, maybe.
Right.
But we're
No,
not
I'm-
doing that
I'm
because that's
teasing,
not
I know.
interesting. We don't want to soften.
It's not that you didn't like them. They're
It's just
just
you
they're
didn't-
wild, wound up.
Yeah.
They're probably. I mean, they're.
Camden's Camden's in 6th grade.
It just
I get
upset
it.
you to
Right.
be
They're
like
a
to look
lot.
at them. Is kind of what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be in their presence like made you sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Okay, so like talk about that. What is your relationship with your 8th graders now?
It's gotten way better. Like me and Reagan, we have a pretty good bond.
Shadow Reagan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for real.
All right.
I don't know. We get off topic a lot, but I know how to pull them in.
What? Me and my 7th grade boys never get off topic.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not like I honestly don't mind getting off topic with my boys sometimes because like you're doing life group together.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah, like we're gonna talk about Jesus a little bit. We're gonna talk about God and the message, and that's like the most important thing to do, and like all that stuff. But you also got to remember that they have lives outside of church. You
Mhm.
got to figure out like what do they like to do. Like my boys love playing football and doing sports, and we've got some that are really artistic and all sorts of things. And they all come from different backgrounds, and they all have different wants and interests, and just getting to learn that and like having those conversations with them. And that's when you usually get to do it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's just a little bit about like what I think about it. Aaron,
Right.
like I think you have the largest group. on
It's huge.
Sundays.
It's huge.
How is it like trying to get to know all of them?
Really, it's outside of our small group. I mean, it's showing up early, going outside, playing basketball, something, or recently I just joined basketball again because it seems like every time I play basketball I hurt myself. That's what happens when you're over 40. But throwing the football around, if I'm not doing that, then I make it. Make sure to go and find one of my guys and check in with them. How you doing? Um, you know, I have a kid recently that just had surgery, and I saw him before youth service started, and I went up to him, hey buddy, how you doing? How's the surgery? Just engage in that way, because the week before we were praying for him, because he had a surgery coming up. So just to make sure that they all feel noticed at certain times, because it is a big group. It is a big group, and I have some leaders that help me. Ryan Darby has been helping me recently, and then there's others that come in and help whenever they can. But there's sometimes that I have that group by myself, and I'm talking like 18 boys or so. So it's hard because you can't really, like you mentioned, you can't really dive in and get to know them real well in that short time. So that's where you got to make the intention to go and have that conversation with them.
Yeah, for sure. So Bryce goes to FHS, which we're not even going to talk about FHS. So
You go to San Juan College High School.
I was
didn't
about to
even
make
hear
fun of
it.
myself too.
Just smiling.
I go to San Juan College High School, which is Revenge of the Nerds, and Alyssa, you go to PV.
I do.
Do you? That's
Do you
stupid.
like PV?
I can't even say that because what kid likes their school? That's like
I've noticed, yeah, like I don't really like Farmington High School. I like my friends at Farmington High School. I like the teachers that have made an impact in my life. I don't like Farmington High School.
well, maybe it's because you go to FHS.
Well, let me ask you, why don't you like FHS? When I went to school, there was only FHS. I went to FHS, but I liked it. I mean, what do you not like about it?
So I have this conversation with my mom a lot because my mom's like, don't rush to grow up because these are the best years of your life.
And
like,
she's a true bleed green type
she
person.
She is.
Yes.
She 2002 girls basketball state championship.
Yes.
Don't bring it up to her because she'll just talk about it. But basically, she says that she's told me like when I was going in, like high school is going to be the greatest time of your life. And I think that was probably true back in the early 2000s when she graduated. I think back then, kids were more fun and wanted to get involved more and were like doing stuff at pep rallies. Now it's just like everybody hates each other. And like I don't care for that. And like I've kind of noticed that like some of our teachers don't really care about that stuff either. Like they're there not to build a connection with the kids. They're there to like talk about the I don't know, Pythagorean theorem for an hour and leave and all that stuff. But like sometimes you get a really good teacher that's like really invested in what they're doing. They enjoy what they teach and all that stuff. And then they like try to build connections with the students. And I think that those are the kinds of teachers that are the most important, most influential. But I think that we don't see a lot of those anymore. And then that rubs the kids the wrong way. And so everybody's just kind of meh the whole time. So like that's kind of just my gripes. But I like having my close friends. I like having the teachers who make an impact in your life. I like having that connection around me, like going and goofing off, running around the halls, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's interesting because at the nerd school, it's like the exact opposite dynamic. Like what I most like about the school is the teachers by far, because even the ones that I hate care. Like they care enough about the kids, right? They care about what they're teaching, and they invest within the school in various different ways. So even if I like strongly dislike a person because they're, a bad teacher, or they're mean to me because I'm awesome and never do anything wrong, and they're, whatever that is, it doesn't actually like take away from the fact that they put effort into that. What I hate about SJCHS is a lot of times the students, I think our students can be frustrating, and I think that's an interesting dynamic. But as I was saying earlier, Alyssa, you go to PV.
Mm-hmm.
What is like compare them? I guess like where does FHS and SJCHS stand with PV?
PV really hates FHS and San Juan
Oh,
College.
we know.
They hate San Juan
Yeah.
College?
We know. What did
Yeah.
you?
Really?
What
Yeah.
happened to our F a couple
Oh,
Oh
we're
my
not gonna
goodness.
mention that.
of weeks ago?
Was
What
it
happened to
PV
the
that did
Oh
PV?
yeah,
that?
that was PV.
Was it really?
Yes. The
What-
letters were blue.
What
They were
happened to the
black,
PV
actually.
They
rock
were
deal
black.
out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on,
They-
they
I
were
think
blue.
That's
it was
fair.
black for a reason, but okay, all right, all right. We're this is what I'm talking about, guys. No, but yeah, no, Bryce, or
I don't think
shush.
I don't think that the FHS kids care about the rivalry as much as the PV.
That's
kids,
not true.
and that's
That
really
is not
sad.
true. It's just
You know what's
bro.
funny,
That's
though?
just you.
That you guys mentioned this because, back when your parents and I went to school, you go to football games and that riot squad was packed. And I go to football games now and it's pretty. FHS has a better riot squad. PV's riot squad is horrible,
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
And if they're so proud about their sports and their school, like you would think you would see more people attending big games, taking their shirts off and painting their chest blue and
You get
white and
dress code
silver.
for that now.
Yeah,
Well,
we
oh,
can't
really?
do that.
You
We'll
can't do
get
that.
suspended.
Oh my
You get
goodness!
suspended.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Everybody's so sensitive these days.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's pretty sad. Even my wife talks about it. My wife loved her and her friends used to always go to the riot squad, and football games. It was
Yeah.
loud, and the band they would sync up with the band, and you just don't see that anymore.
Right.
It trips me out.
I'll say SJCHS. Nobody at that school has ever missed any sort of sporting event ever, besides the bowling league, which everybody missed. But that's because there is none. And then how do you compare that to FHS? How do you compare it to SJCHS? What you perceive there?
What do you mean?
What
How do you look at it?
you don't go to FHS. You don't go
Yeah.
to nerd school. How do you perceive those schools, and how would you compare PV to how you see those schools?
Honestly, I don't think PV's any better.
You don't at all.
Because,
Do you like your school at all?
I like the campus. It's in the library, there's a big window and it
Oh yeah,
shows all the
I
mountains
love the
or
PV
whatever.
library. Yeah, it's sick.
It's really pretty. It's just not a great environment.
So you don't like your school?
Not really.
Okay,
Everyone
there we
hates
go.
each other.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
about right.
a lot of
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of hate in the world. In the 21st century, there's a lot of hate.
There is a lot of hate.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen this much hate since the 1850s.
We need more Jesus.
Deep
do.
thoughts from Bryce.
Yes.
We need your own segment before you leave, bro.
Yeah.
Deep thoughts with Bryce,
It
and it's
is.
just all your out of context quotes, dude.
Him looking
A
into
lot of
into
hate in
into
this
the
world.
blank sky, just gazing out, with his hand on his chin. Just deep
Aaron,
thoughts.
are you old enough to remember the Deep Thoughts SNL skits?
I didn't watch SNL that much, but
You're
I'm
missing out.
probably old enough to be.
You
honest with
probably
Yeah.
should. You should go look some of those up on
Okay.
YouTube. They're
Okay,
really
I'll
funny.
do that tonight.
No,
Hey, I think that you are fact check me if I'm wrong, G, if he's paying attention. Are you the oldest person we've had on the podcast?
Oh, come on, Bryce, you got to do this to me.
bro, that's kind of
Seriously?
a little disrespectful, dude.
Well,
Ah, but let's do the math,
let me
dude. We
think
gotta
about
check.
it because I'm a huge fan of your podcast. Like I mentioned earlier, I've
old's
listened.
Bear?
I've listened to every single one of your podcasts, and Bear is younger than me.
Oof.
And yes,
Matt,
Chad Daniel Stotts is younger than me.
is Matt younger than you?
Matt, no, Matt is a year older than me.
Oh, there we go.
So
Okay.
there we go.
Okay.
Yes.
So Matt Mizell,
Yeah.
the one of the least. Oh, and Nate Duckett's older than you too.
Oh, that's
right?
right. Matter of fact, I haven't listened to every one of them because I missed that one. So yes, actually, Nate Duckett graduated with my brother. He was 2 grades ahead
Oh, wow.
of me. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Don't worry, man.
not.
You're not.
So I'm not
you're
the oldest.
You're
You're
not
number
that old.
3 at this
Yeah.
ranking so far.
Yeah. 44 years. Here we go.
It's,
On to another 44, I guess.
it'll be
I hope
okay,
I can
buddy.
get to that point.
I'm at midlife crisis right now, boys and lady. I'll tell you all about it
You're
after
one
this.
of us now. No, Alyssa, you do a lot of track, you do a lot of field, you do a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is that same energy there? Like everybody hates each other?
No, actually, for track, it's like a family in its own. Everyone cheers you on. Everyone loves you in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of awesome.
Why do you think the school hates each other, but the track doesn't? as one of the weird, awkward kids from San Juan College who doesn't know what sports teams are, what sports ball is.
Do you think it's a
Um,
lot of clicks or
Yeah,
little
it's
clicky?
like you're with them for the rest of the year and you spend a lot of time with them. We go to Albuquerque, we have the same hotel, we go in each other's rooms and whatever.
Oh, you're talking about track still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, no, I said,
Had a mini
you know,
heart attack there.
he asked why you think it's hard at PV where everybody hates each other. And
Well, yeah, no, but why is that different in track? And
Oh,
you
I
know, like
gotcha.
yeah, so that
I
the
totally
bonding
missed
is
it.
there. Yeah,
Mhm.
come on, Aaron.
Yeah.
No, but uh, uh, so take it away, Bryce. Let's hear it.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna hop off of you. I think that students who are involved in a group are more likely to get closer together because you've got a common goal, you got a
Mhm.
common purpose for that. So like for my Senate group, like there's 18 of us, and we're all pretty decently close. Like
Mhm.
those are the people. Like if you have an issue, those are the people you're gonna call and all that stuff. Over the year, like my relationships with a lot of those kids has really grown, really deepened into special relationships. So I think when you're on a team, when you're in a group with someone, like that's where you're building those bonds. And I think we're not seeing many people getting involved anymore.
Mhm.
So I think that's why we're seeing like, at PV apparently everybody hates each other. And I think FHS just a lot of people don't care. So I think it's because nobody's getting involved. So I'm a student body president at Farmington High School. When we've got pep rallies, I see like crowds of kids just going straight to the top, um, and sitting down at the very corner where they don't have to do anything. Like they're sitting down, won't even stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me tell you, that makes me angry
Yeah.
when they don't stand for the pledge. And then like just kind of sitting there. I'm like, come on, these are pep rallies. Like these are supposed to be fun. Like
You're out of
supposed to be-
class.
We're supposed to be
Yeah.
coming together as a school right now, and like everybody, like it almost feels like everybody would rather be in class and not with each other.
So, I want to ask both of you guys this, both of the high schoolers, and Aaron, if you want to pitch in, you totally can. But like in schools, where's the Christian connections? Like what do you guys do to seek growth and to pour out into your schools and communities outside of Hills?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Sure. We have FCA at our school. So does FHS. I know that.
Mhm.
I used to go to it, but it got too much from all my sports I do.
Gotcha.
But it's a really good environment. But that's the only place that we share the gospel because a lot of people judge you for it.
Yeah. So Bryce, what about you, man? How do you find like connection in your school for Christianity and stuff like that?
So
Because PV is very oppressive, obviously.
I
no,
mean,
seriously, I mean that.
it's technically the same way at Farmington. It's technically under oath of like separation of church and state. But we have FCA. However, we've turned our FCA into more of like a staff and student Christian club.
Mhm.
And I'm not actually a part of it because I never know when the meetings are. So I need to definitely get into that a little bit more. But a couple of years ago when it was first starting, I did join it with Braden Davis. And we went for months and months on end. And that was kind of our thing. However, there's just not a whole lot of ways to get out your religion at school. Just because the only times I've ever like, yes, you can talk about it with your friends, and I like to talk about it in my Senate class because that's where I'm, that's where I feel the most comfortable and all that stuff. But like, you still get in a whole lot of arguments with people over religion, and it's kind of really sad because people are saying like you're just a sheep if you're following God, and I think that's really the opposite. I think that you're more of a sheep if you're not, because
I
so much
agree.
of our population is just gone off the deep end and is like God isn't real. There is no God, and you see that a lot at Farmington High School, and it's not like I can get over the intercom and and just start preaching the gospel.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'll say, I think I mean, I'd be glad to be a sheep for God, right? He's the shepherd, and we walk by faith, not by sight. I would also encourage both of you. At the Awkward Nerd School, we did something really cool. We started the SJCHS fellowship meetings. And so it isn't an athlete thing because, spoiler alert, there's no athletes at SJCHS because everybody's insanely unathletic. We started a football team. We'd go 0 for 87. We'd figure out how to lose 87 games in a 14-game season. But we have a fellowship. We meet every Friday. After we have a club hour Friday, so that's our electives. We don't have electives at SJC besides optional Friday. It kind of sucks, but after the electives, we've hooked up with an amazing teacher, Mr. Campbell. I'd love to get him on the podcast at some point.
Dude, Campbell was at Farmington. He's the one who taught me how to drive, and Campbell is probably one of the greatest teachers I've ever had.
Dude, okay, let's get Campbell on for sure. He's awesome, but not jumping into that. But him and a couple other students, including myself, really pushed to start a lunch program, and that's all it takes, man. We went through John for months and dissected every single part, and it was really amazing to watch. Campbell was diagnosed with Mr. Campbell, who's the SOAR teacher, diagnosed with a disease. I'm not gonna shout out from the rooftops, but it was a pretty big and a shocking thing, and it was awesome to see the community pray over him and watch him heal. And support him all the steps of the way while he was in Texas being treated, all that stuff. And so, I would highly encourage both of you guys and everybody watching. It doesn't have to be this way. You guys make your schools, not the other way around. You know what I mean? I'm really big on why are we letting this dynamic of over 4 years you have the school beat you to a pole. I mean, stand up, right? You know what I mean? Take charge. So I think I'm very big on you can shape your school. I'm very big on doing it in a godly manner. I think a lot of people shape it in an ungodly manner, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Aaron, I mean, you shape your community, right? And that's what you do in every way imaginable. I'm going to waste 5 minutes of breath talking about all the ways when you've already talked about it. How do you incorporate God into that? How do you incorporate God and kind of act in the softball and obviously marksman,
working in the oil field,
right? Working in the oil field. You have so many. You're spread through so many different areas of interest.
Right.
How do you push your faith through that?
Well, Bryce, you mentioned working the oil field. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I fell right into the oil field way when I first started. And up until about 6-7 years ago, I told myself, if I'm going to be a leader here in youth, or I'm going to be a leader here in men's group, stuff like that, I need to start. We're going through the series about of being marked, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't be coming to church, leading youth, and leading men, and going out to the field and cussing like a sailor. So for about, I don't know, it's been about 6-7 years that I made it a point that I remove the bad language out of my vocabulary. And it took some work because I was at your age all the way through my 30s, into my 30s. It just came out of my mouth so freely, and so I made it a point, not only being a leader, but raising 2 young ladies. And as their kids, I'm just like, I don't want my girls to hear me speak that way because I don't want them to speak that way. But one thing I didn't mention is I've coached sports for the past 12 or so years. And, when it comes to, I look at life just like sports, and that's the way I kind of, I coach my girls is when I say girls, I coach teams, but I've always been helping Alyssa and Kaylee in whatever sport they're in. Even if I don't know the sport that well, I'm the best YouTube coach out there. I will study the mechanics, the drills, and I will share it with them. But coaching a team, I look at life the same way for the fact that I always tell myself I'm playing the game of life because in a softball game, you have errors. Now, if you have an error during an inning, and if you with your body language is telling me you're defeated, you're down on yourself, your shoulders are slumped over, this expression on your face, you're gonna lose the next time the balls hit to you. So I compare it to life. We fell in life, we have errors in life, and I always tell my softball team, when they have an error, hey, and Alyssa might remember this when she used to play softball. I'd just give this motion. Hey, dust yourself off and go to the next play. Dust yourself off, go to the next play because it's going to come again. That ball's going to come at some point. It's going to be hit to you. It's going to be thrown to you. It could be at the plate. You struck out the first at bat, but guess what? You get another chance. So, I look at it that way. But, and Connie Mack, it's a big event. There's thousands of people that come to the stadium, and I'm in operations now, so I'm moving around the field. I'm bringing in the person singing the national anthem and the prayer invocation and whoever's throwing the first pitch, and I just know that I need to treat them well and make them feel welcomed. So I can't if I wasn't there, if I was there not representing God, then I'd be a pain in the butt to work with, So I'm in those positions, being over, being a vice president in the softball league. I deal with a lot of coaches, and it's tough because some coaches are easy, and some they think that their little 8U team is the best thing that God has given this earth, and it's like pump the brakes, bud. It's 8U softball, they're not going to OU next year. So really, I mean, it's just a lot of patience, and in the past few years, God has taught me patience in many lessons, and because I haven't been a patient guy. I'm a man, right? I want to fix things. If something's broken, I want to fix it, and so in some things, in some situations, I can't fix those things, So I really need to just step back, and like in Marksman trains us, be still and know that He is God, and who's God, not me. So I just be patient with people, situations, and another thing I didn't mention is coaching. I was one way, and Alyssa could contest this. When I first started coaching her, I was that coach. I was like yelling from the dugout, get down on the ball, and I unfortunately I think this one situation I remember. Alyssa she was playing shortstop. She missed a ground ball between her legs, and it was an important play. And I came out of the dugout, get your glove down, whatever. And the look on her face was just like, oh my gosh, I felt horrible. And so what gave me a different perspective is I started reffing Yaffle football, and then I started doing high school football. And Bryce, your dad does high school basketball, but that gives you the other side of things, a different perspective, because not only do I see it as a coach, but then I started seeing it as an official. And so now it actually made me a better person, a better coach, because now I don't argue. I'll question a call, but when the umpire or whatever official gives me an explanation of what they saw, if you go up to them and they're like, then I'll be like pressing, like, no, you missed that. But if they give me a good explanation, I say, all right, thank you, and I'll walk back to my dugout or to the sidelines, whatever it is. But it's one of those things that, and then also, I need to represent myself well on the field, because, hey, who knows? When I'm coaching, I don't look in the stands. I don't know who's watching the game, but I need to handle myself in the right manner, because I represent Hills Youth. I represent Marksman. I represent my family. So that's what, I put that first, and it keeps me in line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, I mean, you just talked about, coaching Alyssa at one point, being a coach and doing all that stuff. How did you bring in God bringing in your faith into raising your daughters?
Well, that's a long story, but you know, going back to when Cindy and I were dating, I was raised Catholic, and growing up Catholic, I just never had that connection. I knew once I had the opportunity, I was going to go find my own faith, my own church, and I started dating Cindy, and she was open to find a church with me, and we actually been coming to Hills, which was Pinion Hills then, on the old Butler building, 22 years ago. And so, but as we started having kids, we knew how important it was to plant that seed early, and get in, go to church. Which, when the girls were younger, it's sad to say that we weren't as consistent. But as they started getting older, and we felt the pressure, like, hey, we need to be more consistent going to church. A lot of the times, it was just like, oh, we stay up late Saturday hanging out at a friend's house or something, and we're going to sleep in on Sunday. But we made it a point that it was probably when Alyssa was probably, I don't know, 7, Kaylee 3, 4 years old, 4 years old, that we told each other that, hey, we're going to make it. That's now our schedule. We go to church on Sunday. And because we're of course we teach our kids. As I was telling Alyssa the other night, was it last night, about training you?
Mm-hmm.
It like a dog, right? But I was talking to my girls like they're my little puppy. But really, we are training our children from young. I mean,
How does that make you feel being called his little puppy? I have to know.
He's a cute puppy.
Oh my.
But
That's gonna be on the internet. All right.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, what from the way we talk, the way we act, and all that, we're training our kids, right? So we got to a point where the girls were growing up and understanding things more, and is like, well, we want to show them consistency. We want to show them that Sunday is for church, and that's what we do. And the thing about our girls is they didn't really get into kids ministry. They always wanted to sit with us, which we were like, oh no, go hang out with the kids, this and that. But they told us at a young age that they get more out of the message in the main service. I was like, cool. And Kaylee, to this day, she's 13 years old. She sits in service. I'll show you guys her notebook. Every Sunday she has a notebook about that big, and she fills that whole page up with notes from what is being taught. And so, she's doing better than I am. So I need to take a page out of her book. But just knowing that planting that seed early is very important, because now, we plant that seed, it takes for them to add water and fertilize it, so.
Yeah.
But we got to show consistency and show them, this is important. There's no taking off.
What's your side of that? I mean, your dad gave his, right. You were under that roof.
Mm-hmm.
What was your perspective?
Honestly, whenever we started getting into church more, I would just go with the flow. I wouldn't really listen.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I was there because I had to be there.
Right.
But now I started 2 years ago actually engaging with the message and actually comprehending it, because back then I was 7.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't really understand what they were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, nobody expects a 7-year-old to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like as a 7-year-old who got baptized, I didn't know what I was signing up for. You know what I mean? I had no clue. But no, keep going.
Yeah, and I got baptized when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have waited, because whenever I was 10, I kind of understood, but at the same time, I was like, what am I doing? Yeah. So it's I wish I would have waited.
No, for sure. For sure. When do you think you started stepping out on your own, developing your own faith?
Probably a year and a half ago.
That's a very, very valid position to be at. And thank you for.
If you wouldn't mind my asking, if you don't feel comfortable, we can go ahead and cut it. But what pushed you to do it?
My parents, definitely, and probably your sister. Your sister was a big part of it. But yeah.
Yeah. What was like? Was there a catalyst? Like, was there an event that started it?
Rush.
Oh, there we go. Rush conference plug
Rush
right now.
Conference. Let's go.
July 22nd.
I won't be there.
Well,
He sold his soul to the
be serving
military. Yeah,
us.
everybody get. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
I'm so sad. Like really, really, I am so sad.
dude, it's gonna be Rush 25 is gonna be awesome.
Yes.
But no, I mean, that's awesome. As like, I mean, I was probably the same way. I probably didn't like step out onto my own faith until 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because everybody, you believe your mom and dad that, there's a God and he loves you and he cares for you, but you also believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. You know what I mean? If you're watching this podcast and are confused by my language, I just mean that those two may seem at odds, and both Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are very, very real.
Very real.
And you keep
Yes.
believing. But no, right? You see that, and so like, you trust your parents, but like, it's kind of like they're your family friend who like, oh yeah, this is your uncle, but he's not really your uncle.
Mhm.
He just went through a lot of stuff with your dad back in the day or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, yeah, I trust mom and dad that this is a good dude, right? But like, it doesn't mean you have a relationship with your family friend uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a relationship with God. I trusted him. I knew he was there. I trust my parents who trusted him, and I knew he was there, whatever. But for me, it took a lot. And so I think there's probably a lot of youth listening to this right now that don't have that don't have their own individual relationship, and they're still on their parents or on Vaughn's. Well, hopefully not Vaughn's. This is a really rough place to be. But or on a lot of the leaders and don't have their own relationship and are kind of riding on the pigtails of the coattails of those who came before them. Bryce, how did you develop your own faith?
So, what's really interesting is that like I started developing my own faith like when I started coming to youth, and I say that in like because we weren't like we came to church. My family, we came to church like once every 2 months, tried to at least, and so like God was important, but it wasn't like the center of
Right, there was a lot of other
like there was a
things on
lot of
that
other
list.
things going on, like so like my dad was the one that like more so was pushing to go to church, but even then like we just didn't go a whole lot. So when I finally started coming to youth, that's what eventually started getting me into coming every Sunday. And so like I started developing my own faith in that way, but like it wasn't a strong faith, I don't think.
Mhm.
Like I felt like it was strong, but it wasn't strong enough.
No.
And eventually, about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I really fell off the wagon. I had some really tough stuff happen in my life, and I realized that my faith wasn't strong enough for me to overcome the sin that was in my life. My faith wasn't strong enough for me to go at it from a good angle. So that's when I really had to like step aside and like be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Like, and I realized like I was kind of just going through the motions of what it meant to be a Christian, what it meant to be a follower, and I wasn't really putting the extra work into it. Like I was coming on Wednesday and Sunday nights and being like, okay, this is my this is my Bible time for the week, and now it's more like, okay, every day praying whenever I can, every day at least reading one piece of scripture. And so like I started developing my own faith years ago, but I didn't really start caring about my faith until about 2 years ago.
If you eat once a week, you're gonna starve.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of starving Christians.
I think so.
Hearing about PV, and I mean, how many people with faith do you think there are at PV and FHS with faith?
With faith?
Unspoken faith.
Okay. So, because I think there's a difference between having faith and calling yourself a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think so many, at least at Farmington, I know that there are so many people who are like, I'm a Christian, I'm a Mormon, I'm a Catholic.
Let's talk about believes in God. Let's
But-
just separate
okay.
out to believes in God.
Believes in God, I think that most people believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
How about believes in Jesus at FHS?
Well, I think if we're to, I'm confused. So like, I think if we're talking about like believing, I think most people believe. But if we're talking about having faith, not many. Because I think that there's a difference. I think that if you're like, you can say you believe in something. Like a kid can say, "Oh, I believe in Santa Claus. I believe that this is how
Who does exist?
I believe, yeah, I believe that there's God. I believe that there's a God." But that's just them saying that. I feel like so few actually have this relationship with him, actually put in the time of like being like, okay, I know my God. I don't just believe in my God. I know my God.
Well, and I mean, I think that's my point. We have so many people, you know, you do your Bible time, you come to church every single week, and this is in a good scenario. You come to church every single week, and you kind of sort of pay attention, and you eat once a week. You're still going to starve to death. How many people who haven't eaten in years, right? How many people who only eat on Christmas and Easter, right? How many people have a Bible that they haven't cracked open in 2-3 years? How many people in our communities don't think about God on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, even on a month-to-month basis, but they call themselves a Christian or a believer?
I think that there's not a lot. I really and truly don't believe that there's very many people who take the time to know him. I don't think there's, and it's sad because I know him and I know how good that he can be. I know how good life can be with God in your life. And it's just sad because like outside of youth, I don't know many people at my school that have that faith. And so, like, that's just what I would say. Do you know, Alyssa, do you have like a different experience or what do you say?
I think like 3/4 of our school believe in God, but like there's only like 1/4 that actually has faith in him.
Aaron, what about you, man? This doesn't have to be just kids. Like
You guys mentioned that, when it comes to being raised and a lot of kids, go to church because of their parents and they don't have that connection. They don't have that relationship with Christ. I'm going to go back to my Christian, being raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic and my dad, he was pretty, he was on it. He was like, Sundays we go to mass, and I would sit in mass. I'd be bored out of my mind. I'd stand up, sit down, fight. You know what I mean? I actually, I had my first Holy Communion. I didn't even know what it was about. I just showed up. I went to CCD, but I think it was my sophomore year or junior year. I was going to get confirmed, and I didn't show up. I had a baseball game in Albuquerque at El Dorado, and I didn't want to miss the baseball game. But I knew then that I was like, man, this doesn't mean anything to me. Like being confirmed, as a Catholic, that's a big event. They have big, brunches afterwards and big parties and stuff like that. And I really didn't care because I was missing that relationship with Christ. I didn't have a relationship. I always felt like, I'd have to go to confession, and going to confession, I was terrified. I was standing in line on a Saturday morning and slowly creeping up to the wooden box, and you're gonna sit, between a divider from you and the priest, and every time I'd go in there, I wouldn't. I always had this weird feeling of telling a priest my deepest, darkest sins. So I'd get in there, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, Father, I stole a candy bar last weekend, and I'd start like making up these smaller sins because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna reveal this because I'm gonna walk out of there. That priest is gonna think this kid is messed up, and his parents are even more messed up for raising him that way, and so I never had that relationship. I felt like I had a middleman to Christ, because I would go confess to a father, and then he would tell me, "Hey, go do this many Hail Marys and this many Our Fathers," and I just, as soon as I left that church and started coming here when it was Pinon Hills, I mean, I got to know Pastor Keith really well, and is one of my best friends now, but he helped me through that, and I realized that you can have a relationship with Christ without having to go into a wooden box and reveal your deepest, darkest secret. But yes, I know you are to confess your sins to one another, which we do. We do that during marksman and stuff, and it really does help. But I just felt like I was always missing that relationship,
It's
that
like-
connection.
It's like your desire, like you're doing that out of your own will. It's not like you're being pressured into
Right.
revealing those things.
Right.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of full-grown adults who, maybe they go to mass or church every Sunday because they know it's the right thing to do. I mean, they know they should do it rather than they're hungry for God's teachings and God's
Yes.
instructions. I also think confession, confess with one another. I'm gonna make a very bold claim. I haven't had healing from any sin that I haven't confessed to somebody.
Right.
I've tried a lot to sweep stuff under the rug, but I have my one or two people that I go to, but that's not because I'm going into a wooden box and talking to somebody who I don't know, or don't know well about all the things that I've done. And no, I'd rather have that conversation in a relationship stance. If you're
Yes.
keeping stuff, if you have something that you're separating, I would urge you to find somebody you trust and that you have a relationship with, whether that's your group leader or your parents or your school regardless.
Right.
I'm not gonna recommend that because a lot of times they'll just call parents. But what I would do, find that person. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a buddy, maybe it's maybe it's Vaughn.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's so at it. But whatever you do, find somebody that regularly shows up to your Thursday meetings and that really focuses on you, and supporting you and growing you and not passing judgment but helping you get out, because I don't think you can grow if you just bury stuff. I
Right.
think you got to burn the scrolls, not bury them.
Right. So I do. I might sound like I contradict myself because I was terrified to confess to the priest.
Right, yeah.
But I do have that community in my life now
Mhm.
that I can go confess those things, and I'm just
Right.
like you. I mean, that weight is. I mean, you could feel it lift off your shoulders when you, with your mouth, confess to others.
Absolutely.
And I highly recommend it, having those people in your life to do so.
Right, and that's your choice, right?
Yes.
Your parents aren't driving you to confession every Saturday, right?
Right.
And that's somebody you know well and you can go have coffee with, and that
Yes.
you can go, you pour into them and they talk to you about their stuff and their junk.
And no judgment.
And no judgment, right?
Yes.
We're called to do life together as a community. And Farmington's our city. It's our community, right? This is my city, this is my community. And I think a lot of times we kind of just like abandon it. Oh, it's hopeless, it's lost. I don't want to be here. This sucks. And I'm not saying those things aren't true at times. And I'm not saying you can't feel those things at times, but I'm also saying it's the place that we've made it. I think I can't tell you, Aaron. As an adult, I'm sure you don't quite get this. But as kids, man, the amount of people, like the amount of children, teenagers that hate this town and want to leave this town and are only there because their parents' jobs or whatever.
Right.
Their parents happen to work in the oil field. And there's nothing new in Farmington, and there's all these things, and everybody. It's a small town, so everybody's gossiping and talking trash. And I mean, we're what we do. Alyssa, in the pre-meeting, you said something very, very simple and very aggressive and very profound about girl drama. One of the talking points today was, how do you deal with girl drama and get over it? And you said,
I don't remember what I said.
Just
Uh,
don't engage. Just
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
Don't start it. I think, talk about that. Do you find yourself in girl drama much, Alyssa?
Not really, because I don't, this sounds bad, but I don't really talk to anyone at school. I put on my headphones
Fair.
whenever I'm going through the halls, don't make any eye contact, have my RBF face on or whatever. No one comes up to me.
What does that stand for?
I'm not going to say that.
Resting bro face, right?
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I call it fart face.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
something that.
like this face, like somebody cut the cheese and you catch a whiff and you're just like, oh my gosh,
It's not even
That's-
that
I call it fart
face.
face.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So you got fart face on.
No,
Okay.
no.
it's resting bro face. Gotcha. Yeah. No, but no. Go ahead. Like, do you like? There's more, right?
Like, I don't get into drama unless I have to. Like,
Yeah.
if it's talked about me, I brush it off, whatever. I
Mhm.
don't care. I know it's not true. But if someone says something about, like, one of my closest friends, yes, I'm going to step in.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that's not true about them. And then it gets into this big argument about, yes, it is. No, it's not.
Do you think life's easier when you're not starting stuff?
Yes.
Would you encourage people to not start stuff that you know isn't true or
Yeah.
doesn't matter to you?
Yeah.
I think, I hear a lot. I preached on this recently, but how much like people talk about guys and girls, this is a two-way thing, but how much, people are making up rumors and trash about me and all this stuff. And then that same person will be saying the exact, like, they'll be talking around people's backs like crazy. And it's like, what? You're a hypocrite. That makes no sense. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Just don't engage in that stuff. And then all this, you engage in it all the time, and all of a sudden it's about you and you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have you slandered and talked crap about?
You talk crap?
Yeah, Alyssa, how much? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, how much you talk crap?
We're gonna pray over her. No, we've heard. No, but Bryce needs prayed over
What do I need prayed over?
because you sold your soul to the government, dude.
I did sell my soul to the government.
Thank you for your service.
Shout out to the U.S. Army.
Thank you. I'll
Yes,
be
Army.
owned.
I thank every veteran I see, but he hasn't done it yet. So
I
see you in 4 years, buddy.
I signed a contract. I am technically owned by the U.S. government for at least 8 years of my
ooh,
life.
8. Okay.
So,
So-
since you mentioned that, I listened to the other podcast and you were talking about you didn't get the job that you wanted, but then all of a sudden out of the blue you got a call and you got the job. What job is that?
So my job in the U.S. Army, I'm a behavioral health specialist. So I might not be like on the front lines, but I get to work in a hospital.
Okay.
I get to work with soldiers with PTSD and anxiety and depression, and I get to help them walk through life and all
Okay.
that stuff. Well, as a behavioral health specialist, like I'm more of like the intro before like the actual psychiatrists, physicians, and doctors walk in. But like this is a good intro into
Yeah.
like eventually becoming one of those things.
I believe
Yeah,
you're the right man for that, to be honest with
No,
you.
I completely do. I'd be terrible
Yeah.
at it. I really would.
Well, going back to the drama and the rumors and stuff, I just want to say this because I grew up here in Farmington. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's always people talking about you. I know there's a lot of people talking about me, and it's okay. It's okay. And I just it doesn't bother me one bit. But I make the intention of not talking about others. That's one thing that I can that I could brag about my wife and I is we don't talk about other people. And we don't get I mean it's just something that doesn't even cross our mind, it's people try to drag you in by sharing things.
yeah.
And it's like, we see what you're doing.
Mhm.
You want us to react. You want us to engage. But we just kind of, we talk ourselves out of it by, oh, really? Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And that's one thing I'm proud of, and my wife's a great leader at that. She's a sweet soul. Shout out Cindy. Love you. But she, she takes the lead on that. She set the example for me because, yeah, I admit that I can't, say that I've never done it. But being with her, she's just a sweet soul, and she's not that type of person.
Mhm.
So she's trained me as well. I'm a good puppy though.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I'm a good puppy.
Okay, so all right, you just have a family of puppies. All right,
Yes,
cool.
puppies.
So is
They're
there,
trained though?
Alyssa? What do you think about that? Particularly the puppy thing. Do you think your sister's a puppy,
No.
or do you think she's a full down like?
She's a naked mole rat. What is
She
it?
is a naked mole
yeah.
rat.
Wow.
All
And
right,
she'll admit it.
I'm
She
She even
will.
has the face. She'll do something like that. So I promise she does. Yeah, it's a thing between her and her papa. He even calls her naked mole rat, and she calls him it, and it's a thing. So
okay.
yeah,
All right.
so she's a naked mole rat.
How did you dodge the naked roll? Like, just like not being a naked roll mat, right? Is that what
Mole rat,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
naked mole rat.
being an SJCHS kid. No, but I wonder. Anyways, I think like I don't know. It's like that's such a funny analogy.
Yeah,
Like as a family, like
right.
we're all puppy dogs.
Well, I mean, it sounds bad, but like I'm going back to what I was saying earlier, is that we're raising our kids and we train them when we don't even know we're training them, just by our actions or the way we speak and stuff like that. There's a joke that we refer to Aztec as something, but I can't share on this podcast because I won't. But I mean, I
Jesus.
love Aztec. I do. I love Aztec. I just say a different name, and it's funny to hear my 13-year-old say it, and Cindy's looking at me like, what are you teaching this girl? You know? But that's me.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have a mind of a 12-year-old. Well, I'm very
yeah, for
mature.
sure.
I have more. I have a mind of a 13-year-old.
I
Oh,
disagree.
you're one upping me now.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's fine.
You agree?
No, I disagree.
Why?
It's more like a 8-year-old.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Dang, that's bad.
Just wrapping up, guys. How do you think the community, like you, both of you guys, gotten involved? You're in track, you're in youth, you're in errands, and a lot of other things. How do you think that's impacted you? Right? Because we've talked about you impacting the community this whole pod. What do you think of the other way?
You want me to go first?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Like, are you this? Like, all right. Say you didn't engage in marksman. Say you didn't engage in softball. Say you didn't engage in a lot of these things, but you still came to church and you read the Bible or whatever. What do you think the difference is? How do you think that community in Farmington has affected you?
Well, I would be a different person, to be honest with you, man. It's hard for me to imagine because, like I mentioned, it's wired in me. So just to be involved, I've always been involved in things,
Mhm.
but I think the reason is I get such a great feeling from serving people. I get the payback of changing lives or having relationships with the boys and youth and the guys in marksman. I mean, those guys are my brothers. I mean, it's sad to say, but I have some my brothers here at this church that I have a better relationship than my own brother. I have an older brother and love my brother and everything, but I have those relationships that that have changed me for the good. Their accountability. I'm accountability to others, and we're doing life together. And I can't imagine a life without it. I'm trying to paint that picture in my brain of not having it, but it just nothing nothing comes to me. I can't even see it. But and then going back to coaching, I'm coaching youth. I'm coaching young girls, and the what that does for me. I mean, I was in the mall not that long ago, and I'm just walking with my wife, and I hear Coach A, Coach A, and I turn around and I look at this girl, and she's maybe 12 years old, and I have no idea who it is, but she's saying Coach A.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically, I'm like, I coached this girl at some point. Could
Mm-hmm.
have been softball, it could have been basketball. When Alyssa used to play, it could have been volleyball, and she mentioned the team she was on, and right then I remembered. I was like, wow, I made an impact in her life when she was, it was a t-ball team.
Yeah.
So she was 5 years old,
Right. Yeah.
and here she is 12, whatever, 13 years old, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. So so I don't know if I answered the question, but that's how it's impacted me by serving and being involved,
Yeah.
and creating those relationships, those, like I said, brotherhoods, and I'm a lot older than my freshman boys, but we just talked about the other night about telling each other you love them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because as guys, it's a little uncomfortable to tell your guy friends I love them. But do you know what? I walked up on three kids out of my group, and they were shaking hands. Canton, if you're watching, shout out Hunter, but and Lincoln. They're saying bye last night, and they're dapping each other up. Love you, bro. I was like, did I just hear you guys say I love you? They were proud, and they're like, yeah. And then they gave me I love you. It's important.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it means a lot. It means a lot, and I truly believe those guys mean it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Alyssa?
I just really have my community. Like for track, before our relays, we'll pray. After our relays, we'll pray. And I don't know if you see this, but we do. And it's crazy because, like, it's different than volleyball because there's tryouts for volleyball, and in track, everyone makes the team. We have like 150 people on the team. It's crazy. There was like 180, but a lot of people quit because
Gotcha.
they're not
They don't
mentally
like
strong
running.
enough.
Yeah,
you
gotcha.
know?
Yeah.
because they can't handle lactic day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
They run so hard to get the lactic acid out of their muscle that, kids are puking, right?
Yeah, I threw up the other day. It was just stomach acid because I didn't eat, but it was bad.
That's way worse than normal throw.
Well,
Yeah,
shout
it
out
burned.
Vaughn
It
back there.
burned.
Tell the story about when we went and worked out with Vaughn. The very first day we went out with him. That's a great story.
Yeah.
You went and we went to the track and you fed the birds. That's what I was saying.
I did.
You were feeding the birds scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
What
I
happened?
did. Okay, it's kind of embarrassing, but this was before track started, so I didn't run before. I was supposed to do like, how many was it? Like 5 300s, maybe 6. I did 1.5. Threw up. Eggs and all, let me tell you.
They were still all together. Scrambled. I just cooked a nice breakfast that morning, and a couple hours later we go to the track, and it was that scrambled egg breakfast was right there on the FHS turf.
Yeah.
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 She just fished it. You know how the fish just get the other fish and just it goes right down the hash? Yeah. But the crows were happy. The crows were happy though.
Did you go? Did you ever go with Vaughn again after that?
Another time.
One
other time. Ah, okay.
We did blocks. That's what we did.
Blocks and some of the
Javelin.
javelin bands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a new PR by almost a foot.
No. It was 5 feet.
Same difference.
Yeah.
A foot 5. Why are you like not wanting to brag on yourself, bro? The 5 feet 6.
Chill out, okay?
Yeah, calm down. Jeez. All right. No, but like, for me personally, like going back to the community and how it's impacted me, because like we can sit here all day and talk about like, oh yeah, I've done this and we've moved this and Farmington's our city. But I think without it, like I said, I talk about confession. Without my community, I think I'd be suffering with a whole lot more sins and things I know I shouldn't be doing. A lot more evils in my life. I think, without the friendships, I would be way less. I think I'd be way less Christian. I think I would probably, without community of youth, I'd probably fall in that the believer versus faith category. I'd probably be in the believer. I think all of the things, whether it's my school, whether it's youth, whether it's working out and watching movies with Bryce, whether it's, that's only happened once. He's never let me put on another movie for him. And
Is that the scary movie?
That was
close enough. We're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
We don't talk about that.
I remember you guys mentioning
the
it on
first
the
rule
podcast.
of the first rule of the movie is you don't talk about the movie. So, anyways, no, but
traumatizing. Dude, that entire movie, I was like, Graham, I just saw a guy flash across the screen. What is that? I'm like, is
dude,
the movie
I hit a
glitch?
pause like 3 times. No, I just keep watching, Bryce. Just keep watching. No,
I'm a talker though. Like during
you're in the
movies,
movie? Oh my, you're that guy.
well, like
he was pretty silent. The last 3/4 of that movie though.
Like
I think he was
if
too
I don't
traumatized to
get
speak.
something, it's probably one of my biggest like my personal red flags. I'll talk about it. I'll be like, I don't get this, or like I was watching some movie with my girlfriend on Tuesday night, and
Was your parents there?
yeah, her parents. were
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Just checking.
And we were
It
watching
better
this
be.
movie. It's called like Me Before You or something, and it's like
Aw.
about this guy in a wheelchair because he got hit by a motorcycle, and he's got this caretaker, and his caretaker and him are falling in love. But this is in Europe, so he's like in all this pain, and then eventually like they start confessing their feelings, but then he like goes to Switzerland and like kills himself
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
because like
That's
it's
a
legal
movie.
in Switzerland to do that.
Shout out to
medical,
Switzerland, shout out to
medical
Canada.
assisted suicide, and I like looked at her after the movie was gone, and I just started ranting. I was like, "What the heck did you just make me watch?"
dude, that's funny.
Talking the whole time.
No, but I mean, Bryce, you found community with your girlfriend, right? You found community with me. I'm a little jealous. It's all right, man. You want to watch movies with her, but you won't watch Fight Club 2 with
just let
me.
Wait,
Electric
Wait, there's a
Boogaloo.
second Fight
No,
Club?
there's not.
Oh,
There's
so it
not.
was Fight Club.
We don't talk
Yeah.
about it.
Oh,
The first rule of
that's right.
is you don't talk about. No, anyways,
Right.
That
I
movie was
totally
like
messed up.
that movie. Like I sat there for like how long did we sit there? Like a good 15, 20 minutes of it just in your little home theater, just going like, "What the heck?"
it was so funny. Anyways,
I like it. It like messes with your head. That movie messes with your head.
that's a good movie. It's don't watch it, middle schoolers. Anyways, but my point is like you gotta have your people, your community, whether it's your family, you got the, whether it's you have 2 puppy dogs, whether it's the whether it's your friendships, whether it's your your track, whatever that is, whether it's the nerds and SJCHS Senate, I'm with you guys, whatever that is, you gotta find your people.
yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, we have a better Senate, but like
Most definitely.
You know what? No, I don't think you do. I think we have more members than FHS Senate, by the way.
well, we have like an introduction process.
So do we.
Like weed out the bad ones.
So do we. But my point is, no, I'm in Senate. I'm actually. Hey, hold on. I
Are
have
you
an
president?
announcement. I'm vice president. I will be class vice president next year.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, there we go.
Dang.
Anyways, no, but
Class vice president.
yes, bro. I'm the VP. I'm under. Shut up.
I'm the vice president of
Student
6 and 8.
At least I'm not
softball.
selling my soul to the government. He's gonna do experiments.
Oh.
All right. Anyways,
I'm doing a noble thing.
Vaughn, did you know I'm the vice president as well? Of 6U and 8U softball league.
whoa.
Yes. Got a bunch of presidents here.
Yeah, exactly.
President and vice president. I'm sorry, vice president.
Yeah, we got a couple presidents and a vice president.
Yeah.
I was secretary of mine.
Yeah,
You
you
look
were
like a
also second
secretary.
string quarterback. Second string quarterback. I don't want to hear a word from you. Anyways,
You look like
hey,
I can throw this ball over those mountains.
hey, you look like a secretary with those leggings on. They're a little tight.
yo, come on, let's see it for the camera. Come on, let's see the traffic cone fit. Let's see it.
Holy moly. How do you breathe in those things?
Do you stand out in construction lines and just like do the YMCA?
Do what you just did.
Yeah, you do the YMCA, bro, and that fit, bro. I don't.
Gonzaga sweater.
Yeah, something like that.
You know what Gonzaga is?
Do you know what
Do you
a
know
traffic cone is?
Do you
I
know
don't
who you
think you've been
remind me of?
outside.
Mr. Unlimited. You know who that is?
No, I have no
Russell
idea.
Wilson.
Oh,
Cringy video.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny?
yeah, I do know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
You know what's
That's
funny?
It was funny.
The kids that I teach on Sunday school were born after Vaughn graduated high school.
Whoa.
Aaron graduated high school twice.
Wait. No, you weren't. I was trying to do the math. No.
When did you graduate?
98.
Oh.
I should have been 99. I graduated when I was 17.
See,
That's right, yeah.
you're 31, right? Okay.
Old people in this room. Anyways,
Look at he like lost his train of thought, dude. He's
Yeah.
his memory.
Aren't you going to ask us our favorite Hills Youth moment?
what's your favorite Hills Youth
Yeah.
moment, guys?
Did you figure yours out?
No.
Oh, what?
Well,
She won a shoe.
well,
bro.
it
Oh, I
just-
should have wore them.
Oh,
Oh,
I thought you did.
You haven't
no.
grown in
Oh, I
4 and a
thought you were
half
putting more-
years?
No, I haven't grown since 5th grade. Okay, guys,
Wow.
I am short.
yeah. She was ahead. I saw a picture of her and Ashlyn on the Strikers when your dad and I coached them, and Alyssa seriously was a head taller than Ashlyn. Ashlyn was a little shorty. Alyssa just towered over her,
I still
and she
have that
stopped growing
picture.
ever since then. Yeah. No, my favorite youth. So yours is probably the shoes, huh? I think that was rigged though. What do you think?
No.
No.
We wanted to keep you as a leader.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Reeled you in, hook, sink, line, reeled her in.
You know what else was rigged? PlayStation 5 giveaway at Rush. Don't ever submit. Don't ever put your time and effort into a giveaway. They're going to take your name out
Who
and
won
pick
it?
somebody else.
I feel like you
Who knows?
always pick the brand new middle schoolers.
Yeah,
It's rigged, dude.
Graham was calculating the amount he needed to win, and he still got.
I had 60% of the tickets in the PlayStation 5 like giveaway bucket
How'd you
had
get-
my name or initials on them.
How'd you get that many tickets?
Because you got more tickets for every time you showed up. And I signed up like immediately because they were doing the raffle thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I sign up and then I show up, I get tickets. So I'm a leader, so I showed up all the time. And then I just exclusively put it in the PS5 bucket because that's what I really, really needed. And at like a couple days, like 2 weeks before the conference, I pulled it out and counted all the tickets. And it was like 60% me and like 15% G, and then just like a bunch of random, like and then according to G, whom I for once trust, they did the raffle. They pulled my name out, and then he pulled it out too early, and before Vaughn was
Did
ready
you
for
really?
him. And
Oh my
it
God.
wasn't him, but it was one of the other leaders. Yeah, he's no longer with us. Rest in peace. He's not dead. But he pulled my name out. Vaughn wasn't ready for him, and he like slipped it back in. And then when Vaughn was ready, he pulled out a different name of a kid who does not go here anymore. So
Oh
if you
my.
won the PlayStation 5 from the 2022 Rush Conference, I hate you.
Wow. I didn't know that story. That's crazy. But hey, Alyssa still wears her shoes.
I
Just to let you
do,
know.
actually.
she's
And I
still
get
here.
Exactly,
plenty
look
of
at that.
compliments.
Yes.
See, like I feel like it's like why do the kids who like show up for one rush always win and
I
then
know.
never come back?
I know.
I'm just saying.
I think
I've been here for 4.5 years and I've never won.
And you keep coming back.
Exactly.
Bro.
See, I was just about to say we should rig it this year for Bryce, but he won't be here.
I got
I just
you.
remembered.
Pull Bryce's name
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we should. We'll film it. We'll film it, send it to him.
Send it to you,
Bryce,
bro.
you won, but you weren't present to collect the prize.
Whatever. Aaron, what's your favorite Hills Youth memory?
Okay, well, what reminded me is Vaughn finally showed up an hour late, but hour and 15,
Oh.
I'm sorry. But anyway, my favorite youth moment is Mr. Pastor Vaughn came up to me.
Mr. Pastor.
Mr. Pastor Vaughn came up to me, and you know how
Pastor,
he
real
is.
pastor?
He's puffing his chest out, and he's like, you know what? Opening day, the Rockies are going to beat the Dodgers. And I looked at him. I was like, is this guy really, is he kidding me? And he throws out, let's put a bet on it. I was like, all right, what do you want to bet? And he comes up with this idea of a blended Happy Meal. A blended Happy Meal. I'm like, sure, I'm not going to eat this thing. I'm not going to drink this thing. Let's bet. Sure enough, the Dodgers go off and blow the Rockies out. So he lived up to his word.
On stage at youth.
On stage.
It was,
I
somewhere's
think
the
I have the
video.
video.
If we have it, we're going to throw it
I'm gonna
here right
yes,
now.
Yes, I'm gonna dig it out. I think I have a video and we'll share it. But sure enough, they blend that Happy Meal. I think what did you order? Like a orange soft drink to it? Oh. Chicken nuggets, fries, cheeseburger, orange Powerade. It was disgusting. Well, they blended it up on stage, and this guy, he was the biggest. He's doing this. And it barely touches his lips, and he's choking, he's hacking. Finally, he gets some in his mouth, and he coughs, and he blows it out of his nose. I've got it. I screenshotted it. It's coming out of his nose, and Kyle is gagging, and then all of a sudden, Chad just like, you weenie, give me that, and he just takes it in down the hatch. Yeah, shout out Chad Daniel Stotts. Right down,
CDS,
just like a
Mr.
man
Christmas
should,
himself.
He didn't make the bet, but Chad stepped up,
Dude, it tastes like vomit.
Oh, it was, what color was that?
Dude, it was gray.
It was gray, huh?
Mhm.
It was like, how do you get
Well,
gray
you
out
know
of
that McDonald's like it doesn't go bad. Like all the stuff in there.
On that lovely note,
Yes.
thank you for watching the Hills Youth
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you guys
You're
for
our
showing up.
first parent-child duo.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we made history. Yeah. I was
No,
like, where
we
you
had
going with
G.
I was
We
ready for
had
you to
G.
make. Yeah.
Where you going with this?
Congratulations, you guys are
Yeah.
our third and fourth colored people
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having us, Mr.
Leave
Sandoval.
it in.
Mr. Sandoval. Yes.
Look at me.
You guys
Do I
wouldn't
look
know.
colored?
I know. This is my gringa, Alyssa
Hey,
Estrada.
hey.
It's funny. My daughter, our name is spelled with an E, but she says Estrada. with an
I
A.
don't. That's
Estrada.
Mom.
Alyssa Estrada.
I don't say that.
Okay. Sorry. Estrada. Estrada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Or
so
Estrada
okay, yeah, all right, there we go. I was
Yeah.
asked for the
Yes.
American pronunciation.
for Gramnestein.
Yeah, so basically, do you guys prefer Latin X or Hispanic?
Which Hispanic all the way.
Chicano.
Do I have to do that? All right. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We had some amazing conversations, and smash that like button. Hit the. I don't care. Do all the things.
And we'll see you next time.